What happens if you give a sword 0 or negative knockback? What about negative sharpness, negative efficiency, or even negative curses? Would negative protection kill you instantly, and would negative unbreaking break your tools right away? What would happen? Would they work as normal or do something entirely different? Maybe even the opposite effect. But more importantly, why is this a thing? Well, there's only one way to find out. Now, the way you get level 0 enchantments is through the in-game vanilla command /enchant. This doesn't work for negative enchantments though, so in order to get those, you need a specific command or an inventory and NBT editor. So what happens if we try to use some level 0 enchantments? Well, in Minecraft 1.19 with the Sharpness 0 enchantment, nothing changes. Well, actually something does change. The damage actually increases from a base enchanted diamond sword damage of 7 to 8. Basically as if we gave it Sharpness 1, which does make sense due to the formula for how Sharpness is calculated, whereby 1 additional damage would still be added even if the level is 0. What if we use the command to get a negative enchantment level then? Well, it's still level 0. But if we switch back to Minecraft 1.16 where you can get negative enchantments, and well, you'd think that the damage should be negative now due to the formula, but it's still 8. Okay then, let's head all the way back to Minecraft 1.8.9 then, and hold up, this is interesting. When we spawn the sword in, its attack damage is now negative 40,000. We can still hit other mobs and even players though, but they don't take any damage. I set up an auto-clicker macro and stood there attacking my ult for a solid minute, and not a single point of damage was dealt. Which makes sense, as in 1.8, Sharpness just added a base 1.25 damage per level. No formula was used. But then, while I was randomly jumping around and attacking my ult, I noticed this HP somehow dropped. Well, that doesn't make any sense. My sword is dealing negative 40,000 damage, right? Maybe there's something different with critical attacks though. So I did some jumping critical attacks and still no damage was dealt. So I tried doing the same jump criticals, but this time spamming my left click button and not trying to time the crits, and for some reason, randomly after hitting my ult a few times, he began taking 2 hearts of damage again, and I could even kill him. This was oddly inconsistent though and wouldn't happen right away, but would begin happening with every attack after he began taking damage again. How strange. There is an explanation here though. A normal attack with an unenchanted diamond sword does 4 hearts of damage, but jumping and making it a critical does 6 hearts of damage, adding 2 damage. So clearly the critical damage is unaffected by the negative 40,000 damage enchantment the sword has, and rather than the critical doing negative 40,949.75 damage, it just does an additional 2 flat damage on top. Why it only works when spam clicking and not doing timed criticals is incredibly strange though. This all lines up fine though, as since we know the diamond sword does 4 hearts of damage, meaning when we hover our mouse over it, it should say it does 8 damage? Okay, wait a second. Why does it say a diamond sword only does 7 damage, which is 3.5 hearts, when it actually does 4 hearts of damage? Well, I did some research and found that this was a change made in Minecraft 1.6.1 to replace barehanded damage, which previously used to be included in sword attacks. That's right, not only are you dealing damage from a sword, but also from the player's fist, which does half a heart of damage for a total of 4 hearts. This means that from 1.6.1 to version 1.8.9, all swords dealt half a heart more damage than they say they do, as apparently, I'm also smacking other players with my fist as well. Mojang, please fix. And all of you viewers can prevent my subscriber growth from entering the negatives each month by gently tapping the subscribe button. No pressure, of course. Alright, we got a bit sidetracked there. Let's look at some other negative enchantments. Fire aspect 0 and in the negatives surprisingly does work, or should I say, doesn't work, as it doesn't set any mobs or entities on fire. Interestingly, negative smite does work, doing damage to normal mobs but 0 damage to undead mobs, even when jumping and doing criticals. Or does it? You see, like in 1.8 with Sharpness, if I attack normally or do slow and timed jump criticals, the undead mobs won't take any damage. But for some reason, if I spam click my sword, even with Minecraft's attack cooldown, it will instantly one-shot the undead mob with my second uncharged attack. This makes 0 sense for 2 reasons. First of all, why is it doing damage when I spam attack? And second of all, why is it one-shotting the undead mob? There's no formula for smite damage like Sharpness, it's just a flat increase per level. And since this is a negative enchantment, why is it making me deal massive amounts of damage? Very weird stuff. The only reason I could think of is that the damage is calculated differently when the attack isn't fully charged or something, but that's most likely entirely wrong. The exact same weird behavior happens with Bane of Arthropods and spiders as well. Looting is also impacted, but not to the extent you would think. At negative looting levels, I killed 10 zombies and only got 10 rotten flesh, while with looting 3, I got 26 rotten flesh from 10 zombies, and with an unenchanted sword, I got 11. So, negative looting seems to just make it as if looting wasn't even present. Now, unfortunately, negative knockback does not bring the mob or entity you are attacking towards you. From my testing, it just made knockback function as it would normally without the enchantment. Although, interestingly, on 1.8, negative knockback even cancels the additional knockback you would normally give a player when you hit them with the first attack of your sprint. Okay, what about pickaxe enchantments then? Well, negative efficiency just makes the pick the same as if it were unenchanted. Or does it? Well, it does, but there is a weird quirk in Minecraft 1.13 that I came across. In Minecraft 1.13, if you give yourself a diamond pickaxe with efficiency level 46,341 or higher, you actually won't be able to destroy most stone-related blocks. You can still destroy dirt and other similar blocks though. If you set this enchantment one level lower, it will function as normal again. So why does this happen? Well, according to Civet Kitty, who discovered this a few years back, it's because at this level of enchantment, it supposedly rolls back into the negatives, functioning the same way we thought negative efficiency should have worked in the first place. This no longer works in more modern versions of Minecraft though, at least from 1.16. So if anybody knows why this worked at all, I'd love to know. Other pickaxe enchantments like negative fortune just makes it function like an unenchanted pick, and negative silk touch, well, removes the silk touch. None of the tool enchantments really do anything interesting unfortunately, so let's try the curse enchantments next. Curse of Vanishing normally causes whatever item that's cursed with it to disappear upon the player dying. But setting it to a negative level cancels that out and it drops as normal upon death. And drumroll please as we try Curse of Binding, which normally binds a piece of armor cursed with it to the player until they die, which with a negative enchantment level, doesn't bind. As for armor enchantments, well, negative protection doesn't make you take any more or less damage, it just acts as if the armor wasn't even enchanted with it. Or does it? Strangely, on Minecraft 1.8.9, I would actually take less damage with the full set of negative protection armor than without. Here's a comparison I did, and with the full set of unenchanted diamond armor versus my negative protection diamond armor, the cactus is dealing significantly less damage to me. This wasn't exclusive to just protection either. While negative fire protection just functioned the same as unenchanted armor in modern versions of the game, in 1.8.9 it worked just as well as fire protection for armor, and while blast protection was equivalent to unenchanted armor in modern Minecraft, in 1.8.9 it worked fine. And of course, the same happened with projectile protection. So why does this happen? Well, without getting too deep into the nitty-gritty, the protection enchantment doesn't actually increase protection beyond a certain point, and there is a hard limit to how much damage protection can reduce, being capped out at 80% damage reduction in modern versions. Each piece of armor with protection 4 on it provides 16% damage reduction for a total of 64% in 1.9+. By using commands, you can get a set of protection 5 armor, which totals out at the 80% cap. This works a bit differently in Minecraft 1.8, but the general capped damage reduction principle still applies. So for example, protection 32,000 will still reduce the same amount of damage as a full set of protection 5, and I'm assuming that for some reason, that's what's happening here with the negative enchanted armor. It's being treated as if it was protection 5. Other armor enchants like negative thorns act if they weren't even there, and feather falling in the negatives acted like normal unenchanted boots in modern versions, but function like feather falling 4 in 1.8.9. Respiration and aqua infinity in the negatives also functioned as if they weren't enchanted. Negative frostwalker means not so much frost and not so much walking, and depth strider and soul speed also were non-functional. As for bows, well, negative power did nothing, or did it? Nope, this time it did nothing on both versions. Flame doesn't work on both versions when in negative levels, same goes for negative punch, and negative infinity, well, makes the bow use arrows as normal again. The crossbow is also mostly uninteresting, quick charge in the negatives functions the same as unenchanted bow, and piercing is the same as well as multi-shot. Now when it comes to the trident, interestingly, negative impaling will still allow you to do damage to underwater mobs, unlike Bane of Arthropods or Smite. Negative riptide won't work, and neither will negative loyalty or channeling. And finally, unbreaking in the negatives is the equivalent of unbreaking not being present, and negative mending will prevent the mending from working. There's one final unique mechanic I encountered though once we switched to Minecraft Bedrock. On Bedrock, a negative sharpness level will prevent you from damaging any mob at all. However, if you give a mob such as a zombie the sword with a negative sharpness level, it will actually heal you upon attacking you. Unfortunately, this doesn't work with negative knockback and most other enchantments like negative power on bows though. As for why it heals you, well, this likely works as the method of calculating damage from mobs and players on Bedrock is different, and this is further proven as I can't hit undead mobs with a negative smite sword either, but giving the sword to another mob allows them to hit the undead mobs. But yeah, beyond that, I didn't find anything else interesting. Still some unanswered questions about some weird enchantment behavior though. I hope you enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe, thank you all so much for watching.